Word to your mother, boys and girls. It is your boy Sniper West coming at you here from WizardSportsPicks.com, and I am coming at you with the Wiz, the Wizard himself, Mr. Michael Kipnis, right over to my left, your right on the screen. And we are here to talk some college basketball. I'll tell you what, Wiz, it's a great time of year. You know, I was telling my buddy this. So I don't really smoke marijuana anymore. Back in the day, though, I used to smoke a lot of it. And we had this term called wake and bake, right? Where you'd wake up and you'd start hitting your marijuana roach or your pipe or your bong or whatever first thing in the morning. Well, I don't do that anymore. But one thing I still do, we call it wake and bet now because we have college basketball all morning. Well, I say morning because I'm on the West Coast. But the games probably start for you at about 11 a.m., for me about 8 a.m. But we have college basketball all day to bet on today, tomorrow, and Friday, and Saturday for that matter, too. So it's a beautiful time of year, college basketball, from the moment you wake up till the moment you go to sleep. A little housekeeping first. Please go over to WizardSportsPicks.com. Tons of great handicappers over there, great promotions. Every Friday we do the $5 non-guaranteed or the $10 guaranteed program. So you can go get professional selections from professional handicappers over there all day. But, we have great packages throughout the rest of the week as well. Tons of great cappers over there. And please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel as well. It does help our analytics. And so we're going to talk about a bunch of different things on this video. First of all, we are going to talk about the Duke Blue Devils. Wiz, I know you had some thoughts on them. They're a little bit banged up, are they not?
Yeah, Caleb Foster fractured a bone in his foot, and he will be out for the rest of the year. Patrick Ngumba is going to miss the ACC tournament. He will be, and that's just for precautionary reasons. He will be back for the tournament. So that's the loss of Caleb Foster, who really came on the last quarter of the season. That is a big loss. But if you remember in 2001 with Duke, Carlos Boozer missed the end of the season and the tournament, and they came back and they won the national championship. Fast forward 14 years later, and if you remember, Coach K kicked off Rashid Suleiman in January, and he was like the main cog in that wheel for Duke. And when interviewers were saying to Coach K, well, you just cooked your national championship chances by booting out your best player, or one of your best players, Rashid Suleiman. And he goes, well, we got 8 players and we'll win with 8. And what did they do? They won the national championship with 8 players. Yeah. So with Caleb Foster out, yes, it's a bump in the road for them, but I have confidence that they still have the best player in basketball in Cameron Boozer. And I still think that there's an opportunity for Nick Kagamenia to step up. He's a beast. And then Cameron Boozer's brother could also pick up the slack. So I wouldn't count them out, even with that injury of Caleb Foster. They're still the one to beat.
Yeah, they've been playing very well. Like I said, John Shire, just a fantastic head coach. It feels like he's coming into his own. This could be their year. I know we were talking about possibly doing some bracket breakdowns, which maybe we'll do that next week. But you got to think that Duke's going to be, obviously the number 1 team in the land. You got to think a lot of people are going to have them winning the national championship. We'll see what happens. It's anybody's game when it gets down the stretch. See what I did there, down the stretch, because you're all in horses, right?
Right.
But we'll see what happens there. We'll see how it shakes out. But I think John Shire, he's fantastic at shuffling the deck. I think Duke will be okay. So let's move on. I wanted to recap a couple games that we saw earlier this week. Obviously, Towson, Monmouth, then Hofstra, Monmouth, and Siena, Merrimack. Obviously, you follow the MAAC very closely, Wiz. And, I know that I forget the Towson's, the head
Pat
coach.
Scarrett.
Yeah, you rub
Pat
elbows with that guy.
Skerry.
Well, what do you think about those games? The Monmouth games and the Siena Merrimack game?
Well, I was sick to my stomach for Towson's defeat in overtime uh, for my really close friend Pat Skerry, who has done a terrific job at Towson, but he's never gotten past the semifinal. You know, his Achilles heel was always Charleston, and now he loses uh, with in the over double in overtime on the last second shot. But what I want to say is the refs were pathetic in that game. They're they have a guy, Towson, he's one of the best players in all that league. His name is Tyler Tejada, and he's a scoring machine. And they were tied, and there was a few seconds left in the game, and he went up for a shot, and he was nailed on the arm. It was obvious for everyone to see that it was a blind squirrel could have detected this foul, and they didn't call it. And in the NBA, they can review a foul late in the game. You know,
Yeah.
that it was so blatant that, whether Pat Skerry, if he had a challenge left, I'm not sure if he did or not. He could have thrown the challenge down, or the ref should have got it was just too obvious. And then, they go into overtime, and Preston Edmeade hits a contested deep NBA three with a hand in his face. It hits the backboard and goes in, and they're sent home. It was one of the
Yeah.
most brutal beats that I've ever seen. And, I couldn't even call him. I still haven't called him. I just, I hang out with him at Saratoga. I'll probably have to wait till
Yeah.
Saratoga and get him drunk at Ciro's before I
Yeah.
ask him about that. It's just
Yeah.
it's brutal. It was brutal.
Yeah. And they didn't call bank too. That was a lucky shot as well.
Yeah.
What about Hofstra in Monmouth?
Well, that was a great game because, I know both teams well. I love both coaches. Speedy Claxton, a great point guard in his time for Hofstra,
Yeah.
and one of my favorite coaches, King Rice from Monmouth. And,
Yeah.
that was a back and forth game. Monmouth did a great job defensively, but in the end, Hofstra was just too much. They were the better team going in. Monmouth did have a good game plan, and it was only late in the game before Hofstra pulled away. But it was really something to see how emotional Speedy Claxton was. He's the ultimate player's coach. He's developed their point guard, who wasn't nearly as good as he is now. And he was crying. It was just, it's just typifies this March, this time of year, you know, the
Yeah.
agony of defeat for Pat Skerry, and and victory for Speedy Claxton. Two opposite. One, both are crying. One crying in despair, and the other crying in delight. So
Yeah.
that was a really good game, and Hofstra is a good team.
Yeah. Well, going over to the MAA. Well, obviously we're talking about the MAAC, but we had a banger last night. We had quite an upset actually with Siena and Merrimack. So obviously Siena just beat Merrimack by 10 points. By 10 points too. Number one seed at Merrimack. Nobody really saw that one coming. So obviously Gavin Doty for Siena, he had quite a game. 23 points in 38 minutes. And they pulled it off, Wiz. I'm sure you watched pretty much most or all of this game, but Merrimack, Shelton, Kennedy, Brogna, they did their best. They put in, Shelton put in 17, Kennedy 15, Brogna 12, but it wasn't enough. What do you think about Siena?
Well, I broke that game down on Monday,
Yeah,
and if anyone listened carefully, and I don't give out picks on this show, but I loved Siena.
Yeah.
And the whole question about Siena was how they were going to execute this game plan. They played Merrimack twice, and they lost both times. But they weren't going to lose this game, in my opinion, because Siena was really going in with a lot of momentum. They had lost a key guy uh, because Mount St. Mary's ratted the guy out to the NCAA, from what I understand, and they made him ineligible. But they had a few games. They played with a purpose. Five guys played 40, 40, 38, 38, and 38 minutes.
Yeah.
Their game plan was fantastic. They were able to penetrate the zone. Merrimack plays a funky 2-3 matchup zone, and they had Riley Mulvey, the center. He rebound. First of all, he played extremely physical and great defense. Riley Mulvey was one of the keys to the game because he got a paint touch. They would throw it over to him, right? He would get the ball, and then he would either throw it into Gavin Doty, who scored 23 points, Justin Stokes, who scored a bunch of points, or Francis Folefek. And so they were able to play inside out. And play very physical. The other thing is they had Kevon Kennedy's the best player on the court, and he was freshman of the year and player of the year. They did the perfect game plan by putting the bigger Francis Folefak to guard him. So he really had trouble. He can't shoot for shit, the 3-point outside shot, but he had trouble even shooting over Folefek or even driving. He was going to get his 15, 16 points, but that was it. So you have really two guards, two forwards, and a legitimate center. And they had a game plan. If it was executed properly, they were going to win the game. And Merrimack was all out to win the night before. They hadn't played great down the stretch. When you play in that league and you face this 2-3 matchup zone, there comes a time when you learn how to play against it and execute against it. And Jerry McNamara, I have to give him a tremendous amount of credit. I mean, he's, to me, the coach of the year in that conference, even though they gave it to Merrimack's coach. Remember McNamara was a sniper in his own right when he played in college. And, he had laser focus in the game. You could see it in his eyes. You could see it when he was a player. Siena was the bet for sure, in my opinion. And it's all about execution and game. You can have the greatest game plan, but you got to execute it. I just felt they were going to execute against Merrimack, and that was not even a contest, in my opinion. And the result of the game.
Yeah. I was surprised. I thought Merrimack would be favored by a little bit more. They were favored by -1.5. That's where the line closed. But
it opened at 3. It opened up at 3.5.
Yeah,
and the smart money drove it down.
Yeah, that tells you something right there. Also, too, if Siena was going to win this game, as you alluded to, taking care of that zone and everything, the final score was 64-54, which went well under the 129.5 total, which was how Siena had to play. They had to make this a grinded out, low scoring game in order to win this game, which is exactly what they did.
One other thing that was just as important is Merrimack feasts on live ball turnovers. When they turn you over, they're in transition, and that's it, points scored. Siena protected the ball. They didn't have a lot of turnovers. And so, unlike the game before, where Merrimack turned the team over 20-something times, there was tons of live ball turnovers. Siena protected the ball. Everything, that was the perfectly executed game plan of the year. I mean, it was, so you can have a plan, but if it's not executed, it doesn't matter. But they did on this day. And everything they did was right. and that resulted in a 10-point victory.
Well, there you have it. That's your MAAC recap with the Wiz. We do have some other action today. Looking later tonight at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, we have a pretty good game here in Wake Forest and Clemson. Have you looked at that line, by the way, out of curiosity, Wiz?
I looked at the lines today. For today, I did. So it's
okay.
not. Yeah,
I saw it was Wake Forest +6. It's gone up to +6.5. So there's some people putting money on Clemson here. But, Clemson, they have never captured the ACC title. They've never won an ACC tournament. They're trying to do so here. Clemson was 22-9, and Brad Brownwell, their head coach, he's actually led them to 8 20-win seasons in his 16 years there. So he's, been a pretty good head coach there for the past 16 years for the Tigers. But Wake Forest, that was a very good win over Virginia Tech. I know you and I were talking off camera about that game yesterday. But, their star player, Juke Harris for Wake Forest, he only made 3 of 18 shots against Tech last night. But the rest of the team, they picked up the slack. They shot 66% from the floor and 50% from 3. They went 8 of 16 from 3. So you're going to have pretty good success in this league if you shoot 50% from 3, right? It was kind of funny. Steve Forbes, the Demon Deacons head coach, he said Juke probably wasn't juking as much as Juke jukes. say that 10 times fast.
What happened was, did you know that Virginia Tech's one of their star players was ruled out minutes before the game?
Right. Yeah, that did not help things for the Hokies.
No, it did not. It did not. Oh, just going back to last night, because I watched the game. I watched the Gonzaga game, and Gonzaga was, I think, 7.5-point favorites. And they covered. They covered and won the championship. It's their last time in the West Coast Conference. Their defense was ridiculous. It was unbelievable down the stretch. The whole second half, but especially they played what's the name of that team? I keep getting Fresno State and this team mixed up.
Santa Clara.
Santa Clara. Santa Clara will get into the big dance. That will be a 3 Gonzaga, St. Mary's, and them will get in. But I'll say one thing. The people who vote for the, first team All-American, second team All-American, third team All-American, to leave EK out of all 3 is, I don't even know what drug they're on. I mean, I could see not first team, second team, I can make a case, but third team, I mean, the guy is a beast. He's a beast. He could shoot the 3. He could dominate inside. You can't rebound off of him. I mean, it's, Gonzaga is a good team. They're going to go into the Pac-12 and they're going to compete, maybe win it. I mean, that Mark Few is just unbelievable. Yeah, they don't win it all because they're in their conference is they're going to have to face a series of better teams. And, this is not their best team, by far. But defensively, they were elite. Yeah. And EK not being on All-American on the third team is these guys just, need to resign. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, he played 40 minutes in that game, 15 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds against Santa Clara last night. They covered the spread, too. They were 7.5-point chalk, and they did get the job done for backers there. But as it relates to, we were talking about this this game tonight, the Wake Forest and Clemson game. So, yeah, Clemson's laying 6.5 here. I don't really have an opinion. It's just kind of one of the bigger games of the night, so I was just taking a look at it. I don't know if you really have an opinion on this game. I do know that the winner of this game will play the number 4 ranked North Carolina Tar Heels. They're the number 4 in the conference. If you remember, though, Wake Forest, they beat Clemson this year. They beat them 85-77. They played really well in that game, too, and now Clemson's favorite. So, I don't know, man. I mean, laying 6.5 points with a team against a team that already beat you, by 8 points earlier in the year. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I would take the points rather than lay them here, but I don't really have an opinion on this game. I don't know if you do or not, or if you have any other thoughts on this game.
No, I would probably lean to taking the points because you have the benefit of a game yesterday. It was a hard
Yeah,
fought game. Um, you know, Wake, Wake on their best day can compete. I would never lay those points. If
yeah,
anything, I would take them.
yeah, definitely. Well, we do have another game tonight. I'm going to give you a free play right now. And this is not the MAAC, but the MEAC, the Mideastern Athletic Conference. This is in Norfolk, Virginia tonight. Looking at Morgan State and Delaware State here. I know this is, an under the radar game, but I think there's some value here. So Morgan State, who is from Baltimore, they swept the season series this year. They won the last game 82-68 on February 21st against Delaware State. They've now beaten Delaware State 3 straight times. They're 4-0 against the spread. And then the last 4 meetings, Morgan State, they're 8-2 against the spread their last 10 games. So they've been playing well and covering numbers their last 10 games. They're 15-11 against the spread on the year, too. The Delaware State Hornets, 1-7 against the spread their last 8, 2-14 away from their home floor. They only had 7 wins on the year, so they're not a good team at all. But you get them away from their home floor, and they're even more terrible. And I know this is a neutral court, but still, I think Morgan State should be favored by maybe 5 or 6 here. It opened at -2.5, and it went up to -3. But I think Morgan State is the side here. I am going to lay the 3 points with Morgan State, and hopefully you can take that to the bank and make some money. I think that's about all we have. Wiz, it'll be interesting tomorrow night. We'll have. I almost wish we were doing another show tomorrow because there's going to be some bangers tomorrow night after they situate the schedule out. But we'll have some really good games on Friday, too, and obviously Saturday. We'll have plenty of content to talk about on the Friday show. That is your college basketball recap for Wednesday morning. Any other thoughts on the way out, Wiz?
Well, let's guess the line.
Oh,
If
yeah.
they're
You were
out.
going to talk.
I don't know. I don't know I don't even know the matchups, let alone the line. But if you have something
do
that's
tomorrow.
come up,
Let's do the MAC, not the MAAC, but the MAC. The MAC, the Mid-Atlantic Conference for tomorrow. We have UMass in Miami, Ohio against Buffalo and Akron. And obviously number 1, Miami, Ohio, still undefeated by the hair of their chinny chin chin, right? UMass, they're up and down this year, but obviously, Miami, Ohio is going to be favored here. What do you think they are favored by on Thursday evening, Liz?
8.
Yeah, you are. You hit the nail right on the head. They're favored exactly by 8. Very, very good call right there. In fact, I want to see if that might be a morning game. Let me actually check the schedule here. Thursday, March 12th. Oh, for some reason, my computer here. Here, we'll get back to that one. I think it might be a morning game or an afternoon game. I'll double check the time on that one. Here, let's do another one real quick. I have the Buffalo Bulls against the Akron Zips tomorrow. Akron's going to be favored here. How much do you think Akron will be favored by?
Well, I mean, it's got to be double digits against Buffalo. I would say 12.
All right, 12.5. Yeah, once again, Wiz, you always it pretty much amazes me, man. You hit these odds right on the line, no pun intended. So, great job. You think Miami, Ohio actually covers that number against UMass? I don't know if you've looked into the game at all. Or
They've been having trouble with covering. I mean, despite their unblemished record, a lot of these games are going down to the wire. I wouldn't lay it. I don't think I'd bet the game, but I certainly wouldn't lay that wood. Now, Akron's a different story. Yeah. I think Akron is just, it's probably going to be Akron, Miami of Ohio, and both are going to get into the tournament. I think Akron rolls against Buffalo.
Yeah, Miami, Ohio, 3 wins in a row now by 2 points. 3 in a row by 2 points. They have not covered the last 3. So, and against Western Michigan, they were favored by 12.5, barely got by. They were favored by Toledo by 8.5, barely got by. Ohio only minus 4.5, and Ohio covered. I was actually on Ohio for a premium play in that game. I just kind of thought Miami, Ohio might have a dud, maybe lose that game. They didn't lose, they won, but Ohio did cover. By the way, that game is at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday morning. For those of you who want to wake and bet, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, that game is very early, so you might want to get that in the night before if you plan on sleeping in. And other than that, this has been another edition of the Wizards Crystal Ball. My name is Sniper West. You can find me over on Twitter at the Sniper Picks. And don't forget to go over the website, wizardsportspicks.com. Plenty of great content over there, plenty of great handicappers, plenty of great winning selections. And also, please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel as well. It does help our analytics as we are trying to get the name out there and get more content to you every single day. Later this evening, I will be hosting the Wizard Sports Layer. That will be with myself, Tom Macrina, David Delano, and Dan Kaiser is supposed to make his first appearance on one of our videos. Looking forward to that. And we will do another episode of the Wizards Crystal Ball on Friday morning. Other than that, keep your eye out for Beyond the Lines, which handicappers do that every single day. We have a different capper do that every single day. So a lot of content coming at you here from the channel, and a lot of winners as well. Okay, Wiz, anything else on the way out?
Yeah, I just want to say beginning next week, we're going to have a great NCAA package from every handicapper at a really, really reduced price. Plus, if you listen to this show and you enter the coupon code that'll appear on the screen, you'll get $10 off. I mean, it's going to be a tremendous deal to come in and buy the entire tournament from any handicapper of your choice. It's a no-brainer, in my opinion, the way we're going to price it, to be fair to even the $50 better or the $500 better. And it's just our way of introducing our site and our handicappers to everybody. So look for that. Beautiful.
I am looking forward to it as well. You never know. I might have to whip out the Amex and buy some of those premium plays myself, Wiz. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am Sniper West, and we will see you again on Friday with another edition of the Wizards Crystal Ball. Till then, peace out and keep firing.